I'd made the void to be this kind of entity that mutates whatever stays too long in it. So once I started just like playing by the own rules of my world, it became easier to understand how the creatures would mutate.
There are tales of rogues and whores, of stratagems and wars. There's a tale for every season of the year. There are tales of knights and queens, of drudgery and dreams. There's a tale for everybody here. There are stories galore, in volumes by the score, on every subject throughout history. It's all waiting in Pandora's library.
Welcome to Pandora's Library, the monthly pod where I interview authors who write about the stranger things in life. My name is Karen Hamilton-Vile. I am a paranormal murder mystery author of a series of books about Ada Baker, a medium who solves murders with the aid of the ghost she lives with. This month, I'm chatting to horror author Tatiana Schlote-Bonne about her highly imaginative botanical horror novel, What Feeds Below, which is released this autumn. She has an MFA from the non-fiction writing program at the University of Iowa and the author of several horror books. When she's not writing, she's gaming, lifting weights, or teaching people to lift weights. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction and for having me.
So we've not met before. This is our first time chatting, but I saw the cover for your new book, What Feeds Below, on social media, and I thought, wow, this looks amazing. And I was so thrilled when you agreed to be interviewed. You kindly gave me an e-copy of your book, and I absolutely loved it, which is no exaggeration because I've been gushing about this book to people ever since. And it's the kind of book that leaves a little void, no pun intended, in your life after you finish it, because you've enjoyed reading it so much. Can you give us an intro to what the book is about, please?
Yeah, so What Feeds Below is a YA horror fantasy about two girls who give tours in the void. And the void is this massive cave system full of creatures, sentient plants, and treasure. And when a job goes wrong, the girls are separated and they have to find each other again.
And if you had to describe what books, sort of films, TV series it's similar to, how would you compare it?
Well, this book was inspired by the anime Mated Abyss, but I would say it's also very similar to anime like Delicious in Dungeon, a little bit of the Apothecary Diaries, and also for movies, it's a lot like The Descent and Annihilation. These are all various things I was pulling from.
I loved Delicious in Dungeon. That was a fantastic series, wasn't it? It really reminded me of
Yeah.
that. I have seen The Descent, but so long ago I can't quite recall what happened in it. I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah, it's really
Can
good.
you read us a short piece from the novel?
Sure. I'll just read the very first opening chapter piece of document. Void Adventure Services Liability Waiver. Thank you for choosing Void Adventure Services. Our experienced guides will keep you safe on the most exciting journey of your life. I understand, am unaware, that entering the void involves risk, including but not limited to loss of limb, vision, taste, hearing, fertility, cognitive function, and life. I'm also aware that much of the void is still unexplored and there are risks I may have not yet considered. I acknowledge that my void guides will keep me safe and alive to the best of their ability, but there is no guarantee.
I love that. I was hooked from the first page, I think, reading that. I thought, oh, this is going to be really good. And what tropes will people find in the novel?
I don't think it's very tropey, but there's definitely found family, girlhood friendship. There's quicksand, if that's a trope. There's like botanical monsters. Yeah.
So the book has a staggered release date. I think it's October, is it, in America, and November in the UK. And what was the reason for the staggered release? Is that something you normally do, or presumably everyone will be able to buy the book on Amazon.com anyway in October?
I have nothing to do with that. That's the publisher.
Oh, okay.
I've Googled this. Apparently it's fairly common. And this was the case for my other books too. So no UK publisher picked up What Feeds Below. And because of that, the US is publishing it. And to my understanding, it has to have a staggered release date because they will print all the books here in the US and then they have to put them on a ship and the ship has to get to the UK. And then they have to unload the ship and then distribute all those books. So that just takes like another 6 weeks. And then The ebook, I have no idea. But unless you get a UK deal also, it's very normal that the book is delayed in the UK.
And it's had quite a long release period, hasn't it? You've been promoting it for a while. Did you start last year or something?
It was announced, yeah, last year. This book was actually on a pretty short timeline. I mean, I'm hearing about books being released in 2027, late, even
Okay.
2028. So, yeah, it's publishing has like a long, long lifespan.
And it's already had, when I checked yesterday, I think it was 525 reviews and ratings on NetGalley with an average 5-star rating. And it hasn't even launched yet. And I found this early review on NetGalley from the New York Times best-selling author C.G. Drews. A gorgeously vivid and viciously entrancing nightmare of a story that had me hooked. With fantastical toxic plants, horrifying monsters, and high-stakes quest. It's the perfect mix of surreal, addictive, and creepy. A must-read for anyone obsessed with botanical horror. So I think that's a great summary of the novel. The creatures and plants in the book are so inventive, and some of them are distorted versions of real creatures that we all know. Others are entirely new inventions of your own. And a lot of novels hark back to the same creatures from mythology or fantasy. What fired your imagination to create such fantastical new creatures?
Well, I was thinking that if the void is this new thing and my own thing, that I wanted the creatures that inhabited it to be wholly unique. But I was definitely pulling from creatures that exist already in gaming culture, at least. I was also thinking a lot about how this book was really inspired by the anime Made in Abyss, which has a lot of fantastical creatures, and I knew that as a horror author I wanted to do a similar thing, but I wanted my creatures to be more horror leaning. And so that's how I ended up going more into like the spidery direction, and there's like limbs and there's a lot of mutations, and like the void using the bodies of the lost divers. I also was really inspired by one of the video games I played, The Forest. There's a lot of cannibal creatures, and like cannibals mutated and fused together, and they also live in caves, and that imagery always really stuck with me. uh yeah, so I think that's where I was going. And then I was also just thinking about how I'd made the void to be this kind of entity that mutates whatever stays too long in it. So once I started just like playing by the own rules of my world, it became easier to understand how the creatures would mutate, and it kind of organically developed from my weird limb fascination and the like fungal aspect of the void. Yeah.
I loved that, people that went in there would mutate as well. I thought that was a really nice element of it. On your social media posts, you've stated that creatures in the book are inspired by the deck building game Magic the Gathering, which was created in 1993 by Richard Garfield. And you even designed some cards based on your characters from what feeds below. What is it about the game that inspired you so much?
Um, it's maybe less about the game and just about like the artwork. Um, I know that the game has like deep lore and there are like books written about the game that I haven't read yet, so I'm just admitting how shallow of a fan I am because I just play the game and really like the art. But a lot of the creatures look like they could be in the void. Like they have lots of limbs and they're like half spider, and you've got things mutated together with lots of teeth. And um I mean, you can play different like class or like different theme builds in Magic, and so I always play for the most part like black decks, like dark magic decks. And so the vibes I just feel are on brand with the book.
My husband loves the game as well. He's always playing it. He's been playing it since the beginning, I think, for years and years. The suspense in the novel never lets up. It really was an out of the frying pan and into the fire situation throughout the whole book. So it's a real page turner. What's your secret to writing such an engaging book? Has any particular book course writer helped you on your writing journey?
A really good mentor during my time at Iowa who always talked about maintaining tension throughout, keeping the stakes high, and also nesting the questions so the reader always has an answer that they're searching for. I also really love the book Story Genius and Blueprint for a Novel. I also think about my reader a lot while I'm writing. Like, where is my reader's interest at this point in the story? Where is it lagging? What is the next thing that they're reading for? Um, like, what are they worrying about? The clock's ticking to find Jade, that kind of thing. Like, where am I upping the pressure? Where are we having lulls? And I'm glad that you said it's like an out of the pan into the fryer, whatever the saying is. Because I was trying to do that, but there's also a challenge with writing that way, and that there's almost not enough breathing room to get to care about the characters, because the stuff happening back to back to back only feels high stakes if we care about these people. Because you can read a book where it's action right out of the gate, but if you don't care who these people are, like, it's meaningless. And so that was a real challenge with this book, because I had a limited time frame to get the reader invested, but I knew that I wanted to kick off the story right away. So I'm glad to see that it seems to be working from the positive reception and from hearing your feedback, but that was one of the challenges.
They were very engaging characters. I mean, straight away, like I say, from the first page, first 5% of the book, I was already telling my friends, how great it was. So, yeah. The society that has built up around the void is a very capitalist one, where everyone is trying to make as much money out of the void as they can. I feel that this is something that would definitely happen if there really were a void in this world. And it's also a real dog-eat-dog world within the void. And everyone is looking out for number one. Did any true life places or situations inspire the void, or is it based on society generally?
Um, I mean, for real life, I guess I was thinking a bit about Mount Everest and how this world is kind of like a reverse Mount Everest, where the locals guide people down into the void. And then beyond that, uh what you just said about how if this existed in our world, it would definitely be mined for profit. That's exactly the reaction that I had watching the anime Made in Abyss. Because in that world, they do have this massive abyss, and it's a bit brighter and like more fantastically wondrous, although there are some really horrifying parts. And this girl and her robot best friend go into the abyss, and they're searching for her lost mother, and it's an epic quest narrative. Tons of fun. You've got to watch it. But while I was watching it, I was thinking, like, if we had an abyss, it would definitely have a gift shop and, like, probably some theme park rides or something. Like, it would be not left alone to be this wondrous thing. And so that's when the gears started turning in my brain about, well, that sounds like a story idea. How can I write a danger tourism story inspired by this thing?
And at the beginning of each chapter, there's either a little snippet from a book or perhaps an advert belonging to your world. As you said, there's the sort of death and injury sort of waiver form on the first page that you read out to us. But there's also references to books that are in this world. So the Compendium of Void Beasts, or Knife and Salt, the Complete Hunter's Guide to Cooking Wild Game in the Void. And I'd really love to read those books. I feel it could be a whole offshoot of books for you to publish, which I would devour with as much enthusiasm as I have this one. Is that anything that you're thinking about?
I mean, I would love to, but just like practically, I don't think my publisher is going to pay me for those. Um, like, they would have to pay me and then like pay to have those made and distributed, and I don't think that there's enough of a market, because the only people who would buy them are fans of What Feeds Below. So maybe if it becomes like a massive bestseller, I think that the types of books that are huge successes are the ones that get like offshoot side books. So like that. So I would someday if the publisher would be on board. Yeah.
Let's hope it's a big success then.
Thank
I
you.
think it would make a stunning graphic novel as well. I could just really see it in my mind's eye what it would be like. So is that something you'd do as well if possibility came up?
If the possibility came up, I think so. I've never written for graphic novels before, and so I imagine that that'd be like a whole new skill and like learning curve I'd have to overcome. Because I imagine that there's like a balance between what you write and then what the illustrator conveys. And so I'd have to learn all of that. But I think it would look really cool. This is also a publishing thing that I'm not sure how that works. I have heard of books that do really well getting graphic novel adaptations too, but I imagine something has to be worked out with the publisher. Like maybe the same publisher does it, so the graphic novel isn't like stealing the sales from the paperback. So this is just like another publishing thing that I have no idea how that works. But if I could do it, yeah, I probably would.
And you have a love of anime too, don't you? Who would be your dream producer for an anime version of your novel?
I mean, I think Studio Mappa is always putting out great material. I guess, yeah, like whoever, I don't know if they're doing Solo Leveling. I feel like they're not, but whatever new anime has the best animations, I think would be really cool just to see it all come to life vividly.
And who would you see voicing Petra, the main protagonist?
I really love the voice actor for Mao Mao in the Apothecary Diaries.
I saw somebody also suggested it could be a video game as well. So, your fans are really into it. I think they really want to see all these different versions of it.
They do. That would be cool.
What has your journey to publishing this novel been like? And what problems did you come up against?
Well, the book was rejected everywhere, and it was pretty depressing because I spent a lot of time on this book. Um, so my publisher for Such Lovely Skin didn't want it. So then we went out on a well, I had to finish the book then because we'd pitched it on proposals. Then I finished the book because I knew that this was a story I really wanted to write. And then my agent sent it out on a wide submission. And then we just started getting a lot of rejections. Editors were saying that it felt too much like a video game, too dark for YA, too much world building. They just didn't connect with it. They just didn't like it. They didn't think there was market for it. YA is too hard. YA is too saturated. Doesn't stand out enough in the way that they want. Just like all the rejections that you can get. So we had a last few places left, and one of them was Bindery, and I got the offer from Naomi.
Will there be a sequel to What Feeds Below?
As of right now, there is not, but that could change.
Oh, I'd love to see one. You have two other horror novels, The Mean Ones and Such Lovely Skin. Can you tell us a little about them, please?
Yeah, The Mean Ones is an adult folk horror for fans of Midsummer, Mean Girls, Yellow Jackets. And Such Lovely Skin is a YA horror novel about an evil video game, and it's very much for fans of Stay Alive and The Ring.
And you're a weightlifter in real life. You often post your lifts on social media. Does anything from your weightlifting translate across to help you with your writing?
Um, I suppose in some vague sense, like the routine of it, but I feel more so that weightlifting is like my break and escape from writing. And it also consumes like a good amount of my mental energy though, so I make sure to time it right before I've like dumped too much of my brain into writing, and I'll go through easier cycles when I'm deep in drafting a novel, and then I'll do harder lifting when I'm not writing. So it is like a kind of balance in my life. I also feel that it's like necessary for my health, both like physically and mentally, when I spend most of my time just rotting at the computer. So, yeah.
Do you plan your novels or do you just sort of write them off the cuff?
I definitely plan them. I've tried just pantsing them before and that doesn't work out well. Um, I definitely know how it ends before I start writing. That way I can put everything in place that needs to be set for the ending to pay off. And yeah, no, I definitely plan.
You've been watching a horror movie since you were a child. What horror movie had the deepest effect on you as a child?
I feel like the movie 13 Ghosts really scared me and stayed with me. I remember the jackal really terrifying me. And I think about that movie a lot. I know that has like none of the vibes of What Feeds Below, but that's one that really stuck with me. I'll rewatch 13 Ghosts, the like 2000s remake one every once in a while, and I feel that it holds up. So
So you're obviously very strong. How far into the void do you think you would make it? The first level or all the way down to the 6th?
Like the first level. To be clear, I'm a weightlifter, which means I like lift something heavy like 1 to 3 times. The type of work that Jade and Petra are doing is extreme endurance, like the rock climbing and the hiking. I don't even like hiking, so there's no way I would go very deep into the void at all.
Oh, I don't think I'd get past the first level either. What plant or creature from the void would be your biggest nemesis, do you think?
Probably the Mind Ripper. Low spoilers, but that one's scary, I think, just because it gets into your thoughts and like I already have enough of those and gets into your like anxieties, which I already have enough of.
If you could bring one plant or creature from the void into the real world, what would it be and why?
Um, I feel like we don't need any void creatures in the real world, but I think like a giant
None of the healing
moth.
plants or something?
Oh, I guess I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, okay, you got me there. The healing plants would be very useful. I was just immediately thinking of like a void zoo in our world, and that'd be really cool to see a giant moth or a tomb stepper. Yeah.
Where can fans meet you in person this year? Are you travelling to the UK or Europe at all?
I am not going to the UK. I would love to, but the things about book tours is unless you're like really famous, and even then, I'm not sure it's the case. Pretty much they're all self-funded. So unless What Feeds Below becomes a massive seller and gets those offshoot books, which hopefully it will, I just can't go to the UK, but I would love to. So I'll be in California, Arizona, and Chicago as of right now for some tourist stops. I'm not sure exactly where else yet, like where, so I'll be updating that on my website as I figure it out.
And where can fans find you online?
I am the Buff Writer on social media.
So just on Instagram, TikTok?
Yeah, I'm the Buff Writer on Instagram and TikTok.
And where's the best place for people to pre-order your book?
Um, I prefer it if readers can pre-order from an indie bookstore. If you're in the US, I've partnered with a few that are doing a pre-order campaign. That's all in the bio of whatever social media you click on. But really, any book sale helps an author, so wherever you shop from, it'll make me happy. So pre-orders matter.
Can they get signed versions anywhere?
Yeah, so I'll be signing all copies at Prairie Lights.
Thanks very much for coming on the show and agreeing to be a guest. Been lovely to chat to you. And for everybody else, I'll see you next time on the podcast.
There are stories galore in volumes by the score on every subject throughout history.